For years, the Caterpillar 797F has been treated like the king of the mine. A 4,000 horsepower engine, a 400-ton payload, a machine so huge that standing next to one makes a pickup truck look like a toy. On paper, it looks almost impossible to challenge. But deep inside some of the biggest open-pit mines on Earth, the question is starting to change. Mine owners are not just asking which truck is the biggest. They are asking which truck moves the most rock with the least wasted weight, the least wasted fuel, and the fewest problems on the haul road. And that is where Liebherr's T284 becomes a real problem for Caterpillar. Because the T284 is not trying to beat the 797F by looking more intimidating. It is trying to beat it in the one place that actually matters to a mine manager: cost per ton. To understand why that matters, imagine a haul road in a giant copper mine. A shovel loads truck after truck after truck, 24 hours a day. Every delay costs money. Every extra liter of fuel costs money. Every tire that overheats costs money. Every minute a truck sits in the maintenance bay is money being left in the pit. Now put a Cat 797F on that road. It is a legend for a reason. Caterpillar lists the 797F as a 363-ton, 400-ton class truck powered by the Cat C1 7520 engine producing 4,000 horsepower. This is the kind of machine built for mines that do not have time for experiments. It is heavy, proven, familiar, and backed by one of the strongest dealer networks in the industry. That last part matters more than people outside mining realize. A mine does not buy one ultra-class truck the way a contractor buys one pickup. It buys a fleet, a service relationship, a parts pipeline, operator training, rebuild support, diagnostic systems, and years of uptime. Caterpillar has spent decades building trust around that. In many parts of the world, yellow iron is not just a brand preference. It is the safe bet. So why would anyone risk looking somewhere else? Because in mining, the safe bet can become expensive when the rules change. And the rules are changing fast. The old game was simple. Build a massive diesel truck, give it insane power, make it durable enough to survive terrible roads, and keep it working for as many hours as possible. If the truck could haul huge loads and survive abuse, it won. But modern mines are under a different kind of pressure. Fuel is not just a cost anymore. It is an emissions problem. High-altitude mines are pushing engines harder. Ore grades are getting worse, which means mines have to move more material to get the same amount of metal. And shareholders are asking a question that used to sound like corporate decoration, but now affects equipment decisions. How do you move more material while burning less fuel? That is the door Liebherr walked through. The Liebherr T284 is also a 363-ton class, ultra-class mining truck. But the way Liebherr sells it is very different from the way people usually talk about giant trucks. The headline is not just power. It is weight. Liebherr calls the T284 the lightest truck with the highest payload in the 360-ton class. That sounds like marketing until you think about what a haul truck actually does all day. Every trip up the haul road, the truck is moving two things: the payload that makes money, and the truck itself, which does not. A lighter, empty truck means more of the machine's total weight is useful payload instead of dead mass. That is the real trick. A mine does not get paid for hauling steel, tires, axles, and frame weight out of the pit. It gets paid for hauling copper ore, iron ore, gold ore, coal, and overburden. So when Liebherr focuses on empty vehicle weight, that is not a small engineering detail. That is the whole economic argument. And once you understand that, the T284 starts to look less like a rival truck and more like a different philosophy. The Cat 797F is built around a mechanical drive powertrain. Caterpillar's own literature talks about the C17520 engine, the mechanical drive powertrain, and the 7-speed planetary power shift transmission. It is a brutally direct way to put power to the ground. Engine, torque converter, transmission, final drives, tires, haul road. There is a reason mines trust it. Mechanical drive is familiar. Mechanics understand it. Operators know how it feels. Parts teams know what fails, what lasts, and what needs to be watched. In rough mining conditions, familiarity has real value. But Liebherr took a different route with the T284. It uses the Liebherr Latronic Plus AC drive system with IGBT technology. That means the diesel engine is not simply sending power through a traditional mechanical transmission in the same way. It is part of an electric drive system designed to control huge amounts of power more precisely. That matters when a truck is loaded with hundreds of tons and climbing out of a pit. Electric drive can deliver smooth torque, strong retarding, and better control in certain haul profiles. And when a mine starts thinking about electrification, trolley assist, or future decarbonization, an AC drive truck starts to look very interesting. This is where the Caterpillar problem gets bigger. The T284 is not just a truck. It is a platform that fits neatly into the future mine that many companies are trying to build. Liebherr says the T284 has experience connecting with trolley solutions across multiple mine sites, and that these systems can be installed from the factory or retrofitted later. That one detail changes the conversation. A trolley assist haul road is basically a section of mine road where electric overhead lines feed power to the truck while it climbs. Instead of relying only on diesel power during the hardest part of the haul cycle, the truck can pull electrical power from the line. In the right mine, that can mean higher speed on grade, lower diesel burn, and lower emissions. Now picture the business case. A giant truck climbs out of a high-altitude copper mine. The air is thin. Diesel engines work harder. Fuel is expensive. The road is steep. Every loaded climb is a fight against gravity. If a trolley system can help that truck climb faster while burning less diesel, the mine starts paying attention very quickly. Liebherr points to the Collahuasi copper mine in northern Chile, where T284 trucks equipped with trolley assist operate at more than 4,500 meters above sea level. That is not a comfortable environment for a mining truck. That is a brutal test. And that is why this matters. Caterpillar can still say the 797F is proven. It can still say the truck is fast, tough, productive, and supported by Cat dealers. All of that can be true. But Liebherr can say something different. It can say the battlefield is moving toward electric drive, trolley-ready haulage, lighter empty weight, and lower cost per ton. It can say the T284 is built for the mine that is trying to cut fuel without cutting production. That is a very different pitch. And Caterpillar knows it. You can see that in the Cat 798 AC. The 798 AC is Caterpillar's own electric drive ultra-class truck, with a payload up to 372 tons, or 410 tons. Caterpillar promotes it around electric drive efficiency, controllability, high speed on grade, maintenance access, and electric retarding. That truck exists because Caterpillar understands the market is not standing still. For decades, the 797 name carried enormous weight. The Cat 797F became one of the most recognizable mining trucks ever built. But Caterpillar's own lineup now includes a bigger electric drive machine sitting right beside the famous mechanical drive icon. That is not an accident. That is Caterpillar admitting that some mines want a different answer. The strange part is that this does not make the 797F obsolete. Far from it. There are mines where the 797F still makes perfect sense. If a site already runs Cat trucks, already has Cat parts, already has Cat technicians, and already knows the truck's behavior, switching to a different brand is not automatically smart. Mining managers are not children chasing the newest toy. They are responsible for fleets worth hundreds of millions of dollars. A machine that works, has parts nearby, and can be rebuilt again and again has serious value. But the pressure on Cat is no longer coming from a truck that simply looks bigger. It is coming from a truck that attacks the spreadsheet. That is why the T284 is dangerous. It asks an uncomfortable question. If two trucks can carry the same class of payload, why choose the one that carries more dead weight? If a mine is planning trolley assist, why choose a machine that is not built around that future? If emissions targets are becoming part of the purchase decision. Why ignore a truck designed to fit into decarbonization planning? Those questions do not destroy Caterpillar overnight, but they change the sales meeting. And sales meetings in mining are not won with posters of giant machines. They are won with numbers. Cycle time, fuel burn, tire life, availability, payload, grade speed, maintenance hours, rebuild cost, operator confidence, dealer response time, carbon targets. That is the real fight. A Cat fan watching this might say, fine, but Caterpillar has support Liebherr cannot match in many regions. And that is a fair point. In some mining districts, Cat's dealer network is the strongest argument in the room. If a truck goes down, and the part is 2 days away instead of 2 weeks away, that can matter more than a brochure claim about efficiency. But that is exactly why this rivalry is interesting. Liebherr is not trying to win every mine the same way. It is trying to win the mines where the economics line up. Huge pits, long hauls, high fuel costs, high altitude conditions, big decarbonization pressure, sites where trolley assist is being considered, or where the mine wants a truck and shovel pairing built around one manufacturer's system. That last part is important. Liebherr does not just sell the T 284 inches isolation. It also sells giant mining excavators, like the R9600 and R9800. The T284 is promoted as a pairing for those machines, creating a truck and shovel system where the loading tool and the haul truck are designed to work together. In a mine, that pairing matters. If the shovel bucket is too small, the truck takes too many passes to fill. If the truck body is wrong, material carryback wastes capacity. If the cycle is poorly matched, the shovel waits, the truck waits, and money disappears. A truck is never just a truck. It is one moving part inside an entire production system. This is where Caterpillar has always been strong too. Cat also sells the full ecosystem, from trucks to loading tools to technology to service. But Liebherr's argument is that its ultra-class pairing can deliver a leaner, more efficient package in certain applications. And for Caterpillar, that is annoying. Because the old Cat advantage was simple. The mine manager could choose the 797F and feel like they made the safest possible decision. Now, the decision is more complicated. If the mine is focused on traditional mechanical reliability, local support, and a known fleet, Cat still has a strong case. If the mine is redesigning its haulage around electric drive, trolley assist, and emissions pressure, Liebherr suddenly has a story that sounds very modern. That is why the 797F has a Liebherr problem. The problem is not that the Cat 797F is weak. It is not. The problem is that being strong is no longer enough. A mining truck used to prove itself by surviving the pit. Now it has to survive the spreadsheet, the fuel report, the emissions meeting, the tire budget, the maintenance plan, and the boardroom presentation. And in that world, the T284 is built to be very hard to ignore. Look at the contrast. The 797F feels like the peak of the old mining formula. Massive engine, mechanical drive, proven durability, familiar support, a machine that says, we have done this before, and we know how to keep doing it. The T284 feels like the mine asking, can we do this with less waste? Less wasted fuel. Less wasted, empty weight. Less wasted time on grade. Less wasted opportunity when trolley assist enters the picture. That does not mean every mine will switch. Mining is too conservative for that. Nobody wants to be the person who bought a fleet of expensive trucks that failed to deliver. But the fact that Liebherr can even force this conversation is the important part. Because once mine owners start comparing machines through that lens, Caterpillar cannot rely only on reputation. It has to prove the 797F still makes sense against trucks designed around a newer set of priorities. That is why the Cat 798AC matters so much. It shows that Caterpillar is not asleep. Cat has its own electric drive answer, and in some applications, that answer may be exactly what the mine wants. But it also shows that Liebherr pushed the industry into a more uncomfortable fight. Not yellow versus white. Not America versus Europe. Not old machines versus new machines. The real fight is mechanical certainty versus electrical flexibility. And the winner depends on the mine. On a tough site with deep CAT support, the 797F can still be the obvious choice. On a site chasing trolley assist, lower diesel burn, and a lighter payload equation, the Liebherr T284 starts looking like the smarter machine. That is what makes this rivalry so much more interesting than a simple horsepower contest. The Caterpillar 797F became famous because it represented brute force at a scale most people can barely comprehend. The Liebherr T284 is dangerous because it does not need to look more famous. It only needs to make the cost per ton look better. And in a mine, fame does not pay the fuel bill. The truck that wins is the one that keeps moving, keeps hauling, keeps the shovel fed, keeps the maintenance team calm, and keeps the accountants quiet. For decades, Caterpillar was the default answer to that problem. Now, Liebherr is making some mines ask whether the default answer is still the best one. And once a mine starts asking that question, the 797F is no longer untouchable.